Transformations, Women, Gender, and Psychology, 3rd edition by Mary Crawford. Chapter 6, Gendered Identities, Childhood and Adolescence. As the twig is bent, so the tree will grow. This proverb reflects the belief that what children learn in their early years shapes them for their entire lives. One of the most important tasks of children in all cultures is to learn how to be a woman or a man in their society. Theories of gender development. Some psychological approaches to gender development stress how the environment shapes children's learning and behavior. Others stress cognitive factors within the child. The difference between these theories are relative, not obsolete. Most developmental psychologists recognize that becoming gendered is a result of biological, cognitive, and social factors interacting with each other. Almost everyone can remember childhood events that taught what a good girl or boy should or shouldn't do. Perhaps we were expected to do gender-specific household chores. Boys may take out the trash, while girls set the table for dinner. We may have been encouraged to follow a same-gender example. Susan doesn't talk back to her mother. When asked to explain why men and women seem so different from each other. Students frequently remember events like these and express the idea that we've all been conditioned by society. This way of thinking about gender is consistent with social learning theory, an approach that emphasizes how children learn gendered behavior. Michelle, 1966, Busey and Bandura, 2004. Learning through reinforcement. According to social learning theory, people learn their characteristic behavior patterns mainly through the process of reinforcement. Behavior that is followed by desirable consequences is reinforced and is more likely to occur in the future. If a behavior is never reinforced, it will eventually stop. Reinforcement of gender-linked behaviors is not always obvious. Parents do not usually follow their girl around feeding her candy when she picks up a doll and frowning at her when she picks up a toy bulldozer. But behavior shaping can be effective without being noticeable. If Dad merely glances up from his computer with a warm smile when little Debbie is coloring book, but stays absorbed in his build, when she builds a block tower, she will, according to social learning theory, be more likely to color than to build towers in the future. The newly learned behaviors may generalize to other situations. Debbie may begin to prefer coloring books to blocks at preschool as well as at home. This lesson may also be quite broad. Debbie may learn that in general, quiet play is nicer than active play. Learning gender-typed behavior is made easier when parents set up the environment in such a way that some activities are more likely to occur and thus reinforced than others. And research from the 1970s to the environment, so much so that untrained observers can instantly tell whether they are seeing a photo of a boy's room or a girl's room. According to social learning theory, reinforcements can occur whether or not the adult is deliberately attempting to influence behavior, even when adults do not intend to teach a lesson. Even when adults do not intend to teach a lesson about gender. This behavior may reinforce gender-differentiated behaviors in children. Parents, teachers, grandparents, and other adults may sincerely believe that they treat boys and girls the same way, while they actually are reinforcing very different behaviors. Learning through imitation and observation. Social learning theory proposes that people also learn by observing others and imitating their behavior. Imitation, copying someone else's behavior, seems to be spontaneous in young children. Children imitate language as many a parent has found to their dismay, when a swear word used in an unguarded moment is repeated by their toddler. And they imitate all sorts of other behaviors. A young boy shaves with a toy razor while his father does the real thing. A young girl plays with her dolls as her mother feeds the baby. Imitation is often expressed in play as children play house or play school. Observation of others' behavior. Even though always be imitated right away, the lesson is stored for later use. A boy might observe that his father spends a lot of time watching sports on TV and later develop the same interest. A small girl may observe her mother shopping for clothes, planning new outfits, applying makeup, doing her hair, and dieting to lose weight. She learns through these observations that attractiveness is a very important dimension for women, although she might not express that knowledge very much until she is older. A classic study about Albert Bandura illustrates the operation of both reinforcement and imitation in learning to be aggressive. In this study, children were shown one of 3 films. In all the films, an adult behaved aggressively by hitting and kicking a large toy clown. In the first film, the adult was rewarded. In the second, the adult was punished. And in the third, no specific consequences followed the aggression. The children were then given the opportunity to play with the toy clown. Just as social learning theory would predict, the children imitated the aggressive behavior most when it had been reinforced. That is, children who had seen the first film were more aggressive than those who had seen either of the other films. Overall, boys were more aggressive than girls. In the next part of the experiments, the children were offered small treats for performing as many of the adult models' aggressive behaviors as they could remember. Here, overall the girls were nearly as aggressive. Bandura's experiments shows that children imitate adult models even when they are not directly reinforced for doing so. In particular, they imitate models who are rewarded. Furthermore, children may learn a particular behavior through observation, but show no evidence of learning the behavior until it is reinforced, like the girls in the second part of the experiment. Learning gender. Social learning theory explains gender identity and gender typing as the result of moment-to-moment, day-to-day interactions between the developing child and the immediate social environment, mother, father, and other caretakers, the media, school, and playmates. Identity will vary according to the child's social class, ethnic group, and family composition, including any and all social and environmental factors. The easier it is for children see gender-typed behavior, the easier it is for them to learn it. Most preschool children see their mother in largely gender-typed behaviors because mothers typically do more housework and childcare, and children are nearby when they do these activities. When children go to preschool or daycare, their caregivers are usually women too. When it's mostly women who are seen cleaning houses, changing diapers, and looking after young children, both girls and boys learn that these are women's work. Even if these tasks are shared by mom and dad at home, kids usually have plenty of opportunities to see stereotypical behaviors in the media. When mom goes to job outside of the home, the child does not observe her work directly, and therefore doesn't get a chance to see her in a less gender stereotyped way. Although social learning theory emphasizes environmental influence on gender typing, cognitive factors also play a role. Once children know that there are 2 gender categories and have developed a core gender identity, they pay more attention to same gender models than to other gender models. The likelihood that a child will imitate the behavior of same-gendered adults depends on what proportion of same-gendered adults display the behavior. In other words, a preschool-age woman who races, she sees dozens of TV shows and commercials featuring women who take care of babies and children. She is very likely to play with dolls and imitate the child care behavior that she sees on TV. The more gender typical a behavior, the more likely a child will imitate. As theory has evolved and cognitive factors have been more emphasized, it is sometimes referred to as social cognitive theory. Social learning, social cognitive theory implies that we can reduce gender typing In children, parents, schools, and the media could choose to reinforce and model more adventurous, instrumental behaviors for girls and more nurturing, cooperative behaviors for boys. Implicit in the theory is the idea that gender typing can be lessened or even eliminated if we as a society and as individuals choose to do so.